Today we are going to download and learn how to use MuseScore. First, Google MuseScore, and this first one, musescore.org, download, or you can just go to their page, free download. Oh, there it is. Downloading. Probably different on a PC. Maybe I'll make a PC video too. So it's done here. Saw something jump. Oh, I have a downloads list here. I can find it here, or I can just go here. And I already have it downloaded and installed, so I don't know if I'll end up with a double installation. So you take it and drag it here. Windows, you'll probably get it already exists. So I already have it. And so in my downloads folder, I'm going to delete the file I just downloaded because I already have it. And then so at that point it should be installed. So you'll want to go into applications, find it in there, MuseScore, and so I have it here, and you'll get a wizard thing that'll pop up. Let me quit and then restart the program so you can see the I don't know why it thinks I made changes to these. I didn't change any of these. So, okay. When you start the program, you'll get this score here, which is just a basic score. But most of the time you will say create new score, and you get this wizard, and you say my song, and I'll put my name, first song, and copyright, date, choose some instruments. So I'm going very fast. So input the information here. You have these preset options: soprano, alto, tenor, bass, vocal, choir, SATB with organ or piano. You can just have a bass clef. It could be any bass instrument or a grand staff, basically piano, but it doesn't say piano, but it's like basically the same. But I usually just say choose instruments, and usually working with the flute, but I could add a clarinet, and then I look down here in keyboards for piano, and then everything else you have. And I mean, if you have an instrument that's not in here, just pick something similar. So yeah, I can move these up and down. I can put the piano at the top of the score. And this ordering, this is the orchestral ordering, and then you have all these different traditions of how they would arrange the parts on the staff in the score. Big band, it's all going to be the same. A brass ensemble puts the piano into that. Doesn't make any sense. Anyway, so you've got that, and then you pick a key, whatever key you want. And this, you don't have to think too hard because you can change it later. And 4/4 time signature, you can choose to have a pickup measure. All this stuff you can do later also. Enter number of measures. This usually gets me because I've hit the limit, and then you can add more measures later. In fact, I'll put a small number of measures, and then you can specify a tempo, or you can add a tempo later. So I'll show you how to add all these things. So I have my song. So right now, that thing is blue. Okay, so the number keys are going to specify your rhythms. So if I hit 5, it's going to turn that into a quarter rest. If I hit 6, it turns it into a half rest. 7, I get a whole rest. So if I hit 5, I turned that into a quarter and another quarter, and I make it a quarter here, and I've got 4 quarters. Or if I hit 4, I get eighth notes now. 4, 4, 4, and I'm using the arrow keys to move left and right. And then 3 would be 16th notes. And then I can, if I hit 7, because if I have to go to the beginning and hit 7, it turns it back into a whole note. And if I select this one, hit 7, now I have whole notes. So to input music, press the letter N, and this blue shaded cursor tells us that we are in note entry mode. And so I want eighth notes, so I will press the number 4, and there's no visual indicator, but now I'm in eighth note mode, and I just start pressing letters D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And back down, F, E, D, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C, B, A. And if I want an A arpeggio, I have A, C, E, A, C, E. Let's say I want to go now back down to A. The computer doesn't know if I want to go up or down. It's just going to go to the nearest note. So I want the A down here. So I hold down Command, or on a PC, hold down Control, Command down arrow, and it moves me down an octave. If I just use the down arrow without the Command key, it's going to move me up and down chromatically. So in the View menu, you have palettes. And there's a lot of useful stuff in here. Double click on these titles to collapse them or expand them, or the little arrow, you can just single click on the arrow to expand or collapse. So in piano, sometimes this will be your right hand and this will be your left hand. Sometimes you want the right hand to play in the bass range of the instrument, so you will choose clefs and select the clef and put a bass clef, and now you can have some bass notes. And if you hold the Option key, or PC would probably be an Alt key, Option up. Oh, I have to be in note entry mode. So press letter N to be in note entry mode. Option up will let me go between all the different staves within my system. This is the system. These are staves. This is one system, 2 system. So to add measures, let's say I've got to the end, I'm composing, and I run out of room. Add, go to add measures, append measures. You can append one measure or insert one measure, but I'm going to append 100 measures. That'll give me plenty of room to compose, like 4 or 5 minutes of music. And I'm composing. This is click entry. I can click to enter notes, but it's much faster to choose rhythms. And so I can have dotted rhythms. So I want to have a dotted rhythm here in the clarinet. So I click on the measure. The measure is selected. I press the letter N to enter note entry mode. Press 4 for eighth note, and then I press period for dotted eighth note. Now you can see I have a period selected. Let's go simpler rhythm. I'll hit 5 for quarter note, and then press a period for dotted quarter note, and I'll press a G, and then dotted quarter notes go great with eighth notes, so I'll put an eighth note here, and then I want another dotted quarter, so I hit 5, period, G, and eighth note 4, A. And I want to do that a couple more times, so I hit letter N to exit note entry mode. And now I have this blue A selected. So I hold down Shift and I press the left arrow, and now I've selected the A and the note to the left of it. And Command C for copy. And now I hit my right arrow and I'm on the A, and I hit right arrow again. I have this note selected, this rest. And Command V. And Command V again does nothing. So I hit the right arrow, and now I'm on this half rest, and Command V again. Also, I can take this little figure and I can put it in the flute part. Now if I press the letter N, now I'm in note entry mode and I hit Command V. It doesn't work. I have to press the letter N to exit note entry mode, press Command V, and you'll notice I have G-A, and here in the flute part it says F-G. That's because when the clarinet plays a G, it's actually playing an F. And so MuseScore knows this and it transposes. That's why when I chose the 3 flats key signature, E flat, it put the clarinet part with 1 flat for F, because when a clarinet plays F, it's actually playing E flat. When a clarinet plays an F scale, it's actually playing an E flat scale. When a clarinet plays an F arpeggio, he's actually playing an E flat arpeggio. So this is very convenient. I can take this G-A, Shift, click, and Command C, and I can put it also in the piano, Command V. Now notice we're in the bass clef still, so it put it in the same octave. So everybody's playing exactly the same notes here. A beautiful unison. And then I can put them in the left hand also. And Command down arrow to bring it down an octave. And you know, I want to fill it out more maybe, so I click on the F and Shift right arrow, Command up arrow, and I have 3 octaves now with the right hand of the piano and the clarinet doing a unison, and up an octave in the flute and down an octave in the left hand of the piano. But let's make it even more interesting. So I click on the G and Shift right arrow, Command up, and now I've got the clarinet covering this octave, and I click on the F here in the flute and Shift right arrow and Command up. And now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 octaves. So I want this to be now in a normal range. I want it to be a treble clef, so I select this note and hit treble clef. So here, and then maybe I can have an 8 VA, which officially should be an 8. So this tells MuseScore, and it tells the musician play up an octave. That's why it says error, red alert, you can't play these notes, because they're outside the range of the flute. So I have to, and notice they're bright red. When I click on it, it's selected, it's this dark red. It's kind of bad design. It's bad user design. I wish it were regular blue. But I click on one and it's dark red, so I know it's selected, and Shift right arrow, or click, Shift click, and then Command down arrow, and now the flutist does not have to read those ugly ledger lines. And a lot of musicians prefer being able to do without ledger lines. So again, I did that with the magnifying glass, and I searched for 8 VA. That's really cool, because as soon as I hit 8, I get time signatures. Here's some time signatures that match your query with the 8. So that's really useful. time signatures are the same. Select the measure and we'll have a 7/8 bar. And so if I go into eighth notes by pressing the number 4, notice I was not in note entry mode. So when you're not in note entry mode and you press a rhythm button, like 3 for 16th note, it just turned my 8th note into a 16th note. And now I have a little 16th rest to cover the other half of that little time slot there. So let's see, what other things can I cover? Chords. In the piano, press N for note entry mode. And I want to put a G quarter note, so I press 5 and then I press G. And I want to bring it down an octave, so I press Command down arrow. And then I want to add another note, so I hit Shift, hold down Shift and press D for a D, and hold down Shift again and press G for a G. And it will just stack on top. And so if I want the G below, luckily this G is still selected, so I can Command down arrow and it'll bring it down and bring it down again. Or if I want the D below, well, we're out of luck, because if I press the down arrow to like move my select focus down and focus and select the D, that does not have the desired effect. What it's actually doing is this. And so I have to exit note entry mode, press the letter N, click on the D, and Command down. So it's better just to delete the whole chord and then just write, and I want the D below this time, so I'll just start with the D, G, D. And then for playback, press play, press spacebar, and to go to the beginning, press home. If I press home now, it moved my view, so I'm way over here and I press home. Now I'm at home. But if I hit the spacebar and play, I was not at the beginning. But if I'm playing and then I press home, then it will bring me to the beginning mid-play. But if I want to go to the very beginning, I have to press this rewind to start position button. Oh, and you have a loop function. You can loop. And you click on this to hear a metronome. I'll give you my system volume. This is already turning into a long video. So now we can hear a metronome, and we hear that short note. But you get the same effect. So I have it selected. I press 4 to turn it into an 8th note again. I can have a staccato, which is here in articulations. So I can go into articulations, and there's a shortcut for this too. And just Google MuseScore shortcuts. Keyboard shortcuts. So here, this first option for me, MuseScore.org handbook keyboard shortcuts. Oh, look at that. Most keyboard shortcuts can be customized via the menu. Select Edit Preferences. So the Edit menu, Preferences, Shortcuts. So Edit menu. Oh, in Mac, the Preferences is in the MuseScore menu. Preferences, and then find Shortcuts. So here we can customize all the shortcuts. So, and you do have a search function. So if I want to shortcut staccato, toggle staccato, the up arrow indicates shift. The up arrow means shift. And the up caret is control, and then the funny weird parallel lines is option. and then, so yeah, Shift S for toggle staccato. So Shift S will give me staccato. Now, if I want to enter staccato notes, I press N, I'm in note entry mode, and Shift S, now I'm in staccato mode, I think. So if I hit 4 for 8th note, and I put some 8th notes, no, I'm not. So anyway, still a learning process. Spent a long time learning this software, and then other softwares are different. This is not a professional level software, it's free. If you're professionally, use Sibelius or Finale or other options, Dorico, but you can do almost anything in this free program. I love this program, MuseScore. What else can I show? We already copy pasted, so click, Shift click, Command C, Command V, Command V, Command V, Command down arrow, down arrow. What else? So there's, I can transpose things. So if I click and Shift click, press the down arrow, it just transposed everything down a half step. It did it rather clumsily. I don't like the way it spelled it. So if I go back up, you'll see every note is on a consecutive position on the staff. If I press down again, this one is the same position, different, same, and it skips. There's a skip, and then different, and then same, and then a skip. So how I like to fix this, the reason it spelled it so awkwardly is because it is in a flat key, so it wants to favor flats. But if I take an E flat scale, that was an E flat scale, I take the E flat scale and I transpose it down a half step, guess what? It's a D scale. D scale is a sharp key. So really I want to spell this in sharps. So, or the other way is to have a double flat, which I don't even know how to find it. Double flat. Here we go. So I can spell it like this, and then I have the nice shape of every note head being on a consecutive position in the staff. Change this to A double flat. And that makes more sense, but it makes even more sense to spell it as in sharps. So I have a C sharp. And it's kind of cumbersome. You have to do it manually because it favors flats, and so now we have the same scale, just spelled differently. We'll transpose this one too. So really, if I want to spell this in sharps, I guess there is a shortcut, because I can go here, click on the key signature, and if I change the key signature to a sharp key, D, it changed a lot of things. But if I select this and I want it to start on E flat, I'm sorry, that's a G flat. I'm going to start on G flat, which is F sharp. So now, just by clicking up and down, it changed it. Now as I try to transpose it back into E flat, it's going to favor sharps. Well, I did get flats here. Anyway. So what else? So I have page view. It's showing me these pages. So shift and mouse wheel, hold shift and mouse wheel to left, right. Command mouse wheel zooms in and out. Now I can zoom into wherever the pointer is, and I'll zoom out from wherever the pointer is. So it'll keep this note head will stay on my pointer as I'm zooming in and out. And if I command plus, that's less ideal because it always zooms in and out from this point. right here, and it's, so I'm in the habit of always using shift left and right mouse wheel, and without shift mouse wheel, and then command mouse wheel, and I can go anywhere I want in the score. And then continuous view is more useful when you have big scores with lots of instruments. And shift mouse wheel on its own, and command mouse wheel. And so you just have so much power. You can just, you're like God. And the one that I like is single page. It puts everything on one big giant infinite page. And another thing, if I want this to fill my whole screen for practice and I put it up on my TV, my big giant monitor, close that palette and I'll center this and zoom way in. All I have is two measures, so I select all, Command A, and then Shift left square bracket. And that squeezes them as far as they will squeeze. But I still only have 3 measures here, and my staves are huge. I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 staves on my screen. 5 staves, I'd rather have like 6 or 7 or 10. So I go into Tools, I go into Format, Page Settings, and see in the staff space, this is the number of millimeters between each line. So I'll go with 1. That's really small, but for having it on my TV and for working with big scores of like orchestra scores, so now it's a lot better. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 staves on my page from top to bottom, and I can also make these toolbars disappear if I want to. And they have handles here you can drag around. But so now I've got 2 entire systems. So when I play this and I'm reading and I'm playing my flute and I'm playing along, or I'm playing my clarinet or piano, so you can see how it's such a great learning tool, because I just made this score. The computer will just hold my hand and just play along with me. So if I pull up the palettes again, F9 will pull up the palettes, and I want to specify a tempo. The steps to do that is select the first note, or wherever you want the tempo to start. Go into tempo and see this quarter note. There you have a half note equals, an eighth note equals. For me now, I want to do a quarter note. You have to double click. It's really particular. You have to select the note where it's going to begin, and then double click. And then to change it, you have to double click on it. And now my cursor is in it. And so I have to select this, or delete it, and change it to whatever I want. And now that has told MuseScore to play at that tempo. So, and I can have a tempo change. It's a double click. But if you triple click, it'll select it all. But don't delete that quarter note, because I don't know how to get it back now. I don't know how to get it back. So I don't think it'll play that fast. Okay, it can. So there's no limit to how. Well, we did have a tempo change here. Double time. So that works. So to get rid of it, click once. Now it's selected. Press delete. Now, or backspace on a PC. Now there is a difference between the backspace key and the delete key. See, if I am here and I press delete, that is how I get my eighth rest. I'm going along, I'm inputting notes, F, G, F, G. I want an eighth rest. My step to do that is I have to randomly choose a random note. And that can be kind of a hang-up, because it just messes with your mind that you're picking a note just to delete it. But I pick the note and I press backspace, my delete key on the Mac, where the backspace would be, and it does the same thing. But notice I don't have an eighth rest now. There's no eighth rest. So if I put the G back there, or whatever note, and I press my delete key, the one that's in its own little square with the home, end, page up, page down, that one gives me an eighth rest now. Whereas if I press the backspace key, it's an undo. Backspace is undo. So I just undo, undo, undo. So if I put these notes back and I press delete, now I have my eighth rest and I can continue. Another thing, if I go here, exit note entry mode, and I select this note and I press 6, it'll turn it into a half note. And so it just deleted those other pitches. And let's say if I'm here and I enter note entry mode and I press 6 for half note, now everything I do is going to be a half note, and I press F, I got an F half note, but it's a dotted quarter tied to an eighth note. And so I really like how it does that. Finale would scream at you if you try to do that. So I can put another half note, and another half note, another half note, another half note, and they will all. And so really quickly, I want to select all those and bring them down an octave now because it's really high for clarinet. So if I'm in note entry mode and I hit shift left arrow, it doesn't do anything. I have to press N to exit note entry mode, shift left arrow, and I have them selected, and command down. And then left and right arrow to exit that selection, and then shift to select these and move these down another octave, and command down here, and I can do all kinds of things, and I can change the pitch and all of that. What else can I do? There's all kinds of options in here to explore these menus. You have also a mixer. So I want to practice the flute part. I will expand this a little bit, and you'll see you have a flute, clarinet, piano. So you have a mute button. Each one has a mute button. So I mute the flute. Now I can practice the flute part on my own and really listen to myself. Am I in tune with the flute? Am I in tune with the clarinet and the piano? Now I can mute any one of these channels or solo. So if I solo the flute, then all I get is flute. And so I have a master volume. This is good because it tends to be pretty quiet compared to other. If you get it to a comfortable volume, you go into YouTube. The default is like minus 40 decibels here, and if I just up my system volume, I'm all maxed out and then just fine. And if I go into YouTube, it'll be like screaming loud. And so it's good to have this, and you can turn that up. And then you have volume control for each individual instrument also. And it looks like, okay, so it's telling me what instrument. And it's telling me I can make my clarinet sound like a bassoon. But I have flute soloed. So now my clarinet sounds like a bassoon, which could be useful if you just want to hear a different tone color. If you're just using this program to rehearse, it's a great program because you can use it for rehearsal and practice and training, but you can also use it for publishing. What else can I demonstrate? Style. There's all kinds of options in here, and it's intimidating. There's a lot here, but some of the good ones are page. You can let's see, measure. Over time, you'll find a lot of things in here that'll come in handy for really fine tuning, shortening up this distance, its margins on the time signatures, but mainly for practicing on a big screen, page settings are great. And then I like to reduce my margins to 5mm, just because who needs margins? It's just a personal preference. Even page margins and odd page margins. And so now I have a lot more music on the screen. What else? Text. Okay. If I want to have lyrics, assume this is a singer now. Command L. So lyrics, the way they work is if I have a multi-syllable word like example, and there's a whole science to how to hyphenate these words. Should I put the P on this syllable? You know, don't worry about making mistakes. And then space bar takes me to the next note. And like I forgot to explain just now, the hyphen, and when I press a hyphen, high, and then I press hyphen, boom, takes me to the next note. Fin, just like a singer. Example by, example hyphen, or whatever scale that is. So that's how you do lyrics. And then staff text, Command T for staff text, and I can put a note softly, or you might want that italicized, and you do have the option down here. I had to double click on it just now. Italics, underline, bold. And you have expression. So this would typically, you know, if I just italicize this, who can tell the difference? But if I Command T, it's staff text. But the other text option is expression, which I don't know a shortcut for it. But if I just hit expression, I think it might be a different font, or it's probably exactly the same. So anyway, you have all these things. You have rehearsal numbers. These are kind of nice. And I think it will, by default, it'll give you the next letter. So if you want to lay out sections for yourself, and you can do bar lines, so you can click on any element. I can click on the note head, the note stem, the beam, the accidental, and the other toolbar, the inspector, will allow you to fine-tune things like this note head, offset X. I can move it. You can move elements, and you can drag these around, double click on them to change them. I don't know how to add a title with these default settings. There's probably a shortcut, but you know, I mean, worst case scenario, if you forgot to add a title, you know, you can just click here and attach a staff text to the first note. Doesn't matter. And you'll see as you drag it, it says I'm attached over here, and it doesn't really matter. So again, so another thing for slurs, if you're selected, press the letter S. Press the letter S. Okay, I have a slur now. I'll zoom in to it, and I can drag. And I just told it, now I'm attached to F. Now it's attached. I can change what note it's attached to, and that will change the way it plays it. And then these other ones, this one drags the whole thing. Just if you want to fine-tune the appearance, this one will kind of shape the whole thing, and then these will really change the whole aspect of the shape. And these are really useful because they don't always come out looking totally like normal, like what you're used to in published music, and they look kind of awkward. Also, one thing I like to do is these beams like to be angled more sharply than I would like to see. I think it just looks more normal and more professional. But this is really getting nitty-gritty, and this video keeps getting longer. So another thing, when you're inputting notes and you want to input slurs, so N for note entry, 4 for 8th note, G, and I want to slur, wait, oh, this is bass clef piano. So I want to slur, so I press F, letter S to begin a slur, and then if I input some notes, it just keeps going and going and going. So I press S again to stop the slur, and now there's no more slur. So that's how you do that. Exit note entry mode now and click on the slur, and if you made a mistake, you can change the starting point of the slur or the ending point. So I guess that's enough MuseScore to get started. Again, the big important one, page settings and staff space. Because if I tried to print it out with a 1mm staff space, it would be pretty small. So you might practice with it one way and then print it out another way. So good luck with MuseScore and have a great day.